Coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person? You think you won when you played here in Concord? I said, you know, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they say, the can't stay here. We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner and they pointed me out with the N-word. He can't come in here. Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there. He said, we're going to go to the diner and eat hamburgers. We'll go where we're wanted. Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The year I came here, Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before. And they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. At the same time, had it not been for my white friends, had it not been for a white manager, and Rudy, Fingers, and Duncan, and Lee Myers, I would have never made it. I was too physically violent. I was ready to physically fight I'd have got killed here because I'd have beat someone's and you'd have saw me in an oak tree somewhere.
Reggie,
Wow.
I can't even imagine. It's awful you had to go through that, but appreciate you sharing the rawness and the honesty of it with our audience. I mean, really,
we love you, Reg.
Brew, I know you were doing The Odd Couple last night when that was happening, but you watched it later that evening. We talked about it this morning. Your reaction?
Well, I'm glad he said it. I'm sad, and it's unfortunate he had to go through it, but I'm glad he said it because that's American history. And notice I didn't say Black American history. That's American history. And Reggie Jackson didn't play in the late 40s or early 50s, right? It wasn't Satchel Paige or Jackie Robinson or somebody saying that. Reggie Jackson, he was talking about 1967. I was born in 1968. All right. And I remember his career. Like, he was a superstar when I was growing up. He retired in 1987.
1987.
All right. And so it shows Americans who don't know the history, and I think many Americans, particularly in the South, don't know true American history. It shows them that it's not that far removed. My mom grew up with segregated water fountains and bathrooms in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My parents went to college in Louisiana. There was a restaurant still there in the French Quarter, New Orleans, called Broussard's that he couldn't go to, even though his last name was Broussard, because it was white Broussards and it was segregated. And so this is not far removed. So I hope younger people who, because there are a lot of people that talk about racism, and I'm talking about white people, that talk about racism as if it was just slavery and Jim Crow, and since Martin Luther King, everything's great.
Yep.
And this will hopefully show some people that, no, there's a history out there you may not be aware of, and spark some of the younger people to begin looking into that history.
That's right.
And then look to do some things today to redress the wrongs, because African Americans, for all of our success, still are suffering in many ways, the masses of African Americans, from repercussions from the discrimination and stuff of the racism of the past.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. It was incredibly powerful television. To highlight that point of how not so long ago that was, just looking it up, there is 1 degree of separation between a player who retired 2 years ago in Albert Pujols and Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson and Albert Pujols were both teammates with Mark McGwire.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's how quickly we can get back to the era in baseball that Reggie Jackson played and is talking about there. And then I'm 37 years old, well-educated, went to good schools, but we often get taught a very sanitized version, right? I mean, the story is Lincoln freed the slaves. I didn't learn about Juneteenth in school. I'm a massive sports fan. Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. I had to have a job in Kansas City and do events at the Negro Leagues Museum to learn about that part of American history. So I think there's so many worthwhile things with what Reggie Jackson said, but one of the most valuable to me is that he didn't sanitize it.
Right.
This is what happened. This is how ugly it was. This is how not long ago it was. And people need to hear that.
And it's why events like what Major League Baseball and Fox did yesterday at Rickwood Field are important, because it allows for that. That was not planned. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to have Reggie on. They did not. I don't think, I know Alex didn't know he was going to answer that. And it was just, but having those events allows people who lived our history, because Reggie Jackson is 78 years old, and he is talking about being old, being a grown adult, and not being able to stay in a place that he was staying because we'll burn it down rather than have you in there. He said at the end there, if I reacted the way I wanted to, I risked being lynched. To Brew's point, that is our history from a technical standpoint, but not only is it not our ancient history, it is not our distant history. And so I think it was a beautiful event, and part of a beautiful event involves an honest telling of what brought us there. And I applaud that whole crew, Burkhart and all those guys, and appreciate Reggie Jackson. But he's not that old, man. And it's really, really telling. Take a quick break, come back, first things first. America.
Let it be said and let it be done.
America, watch this magic trick Brew is about to try to pull. Because he's the Brock Purdy guy.
I am.
Brew.
And I keep it real about
Brew. Do you think it is clear-cut, undeniable that Brock Purdy is a top-tier quarterback?
I'm not going to steal your line about being Mr. Consistency. But you know, and you saw this yesterday, Danny, I have very strong views on who's the top-tier quarterback and what I need to see before I make you top-tier.
Right.
All right? And I said it with Trevor. I'm not saying Trevor can never get there. I just haven't seen enough yet to pay him like $275 million. C.J. Stroud, best rookie season ever. I loved him coming out of college. I thought he should have been a #1 pick. I still am like, I want to see one more year. You done it 1 year, it was great. I want to see one more year before I put you on top tier.
But one more year from C.J. you would.
Yes.
So why
because here's the deal. Because here's my top tier: Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, and Burrow. CJ is trying to get there, but I got to see more. Yeah. And Brock, I also, and I'm being dead serious. I'm not dancing, all right?
It sounds like I hear a little talk to
your pedigree.
Here we go.
Because with Trevor, let's be honest, his pedigree is why he's getting a little extra. If Trevor Lawrence was a 5th-round pick, he would not have gotten a $275 million. So my point is this, though. When your pedigree is not as strong, your resume, forget whether Mr. Irrelevant, but just, a low draft pick or something, wasn't a household name in college, I got to see a little more. I'm real. That's how I feel with Jalen Brunson. I got to see a little more. So I've got Purdy, and I'm surprised you went there because earlier, I'll see if you stay there, he's in the second tier. He's in the second tier.
Reasonable.
Herbert,
Was the second tier Purdy, like 10 names? Like thereabouts?
It's Herbert, Hurts, Purdy, Dak, Goff, Love, Stafford.
And Stroud.
And Stroud. Yeah, Stroud.
Okay, so it's 8 names is where
would you agree? I don't know if you're taking Purdy out, but is anybody there not